Hey, howdy ho, Lions fans. Welcome to the Detroit Red Wings podcast. This is episode 233. This is the official Detroit Red Wings podcast for Reddit. We're doing it live, and I'm your host, Chris, and with me is my good friend and co-host, The Riz. How you doing, brother?
I'm a little confused, Chris.
What's wrong?
Red Wings?
Oh, we're changing it up now. We need to go to where the officials are.
No, they only have 3 of those on the ice,
and they still do.
But they're only watching 10 people too. I guess 12.
That's true.
Counting the goalies. It's a pretty good ratio. Better than what we get in the NFL.
Yes, it is. All right, we got a lot to talk about. We're going to go in depth on the Packers. What better way to do it? We're going to talk about officiating. Of course, it's trended on Twitter all day. It's the story of the day. It's the story of the NFL this year, and this is going to be a big thing. We've got some ideas. We'll pull those out. We're talking to Blandino tomorrow too, so make sure you tune in for that one. But tonight is a little bit of therapy session, a little bit of everything else. We'll talk about all that. We're going to talk about how things can be made better. We have some ideas, and we want to share those and see what you guys think and see if we can push the needle on that, because there seems to be a fed-upness that I've not seen. I mean, the front page of our NFL has been coated with the officiating's been crap all day, specifically because of this and the weekend. So we'll do that. We'll take your calls. We got a whole lot more. We got a great show lined up. Are you ready to go, Riz?
Let's do it.
Let's kick this off and break it down.
All right, time for a couple of quick announcements. First, check us out and help us out on the Patreon. Special thanks to Dylan from
Guam.
God, I love your comment. It's a good one. Little Pee Wee Herman.
Yes, it is.
I also need to thank our very first donor, Mathis, and Brian Burkheiser from the band I Prevail. iprevailband.com. Check them out. They are great. They are on tour, and myself, Case, and Riz are all going to take our opportunity when we're around to see them backstage.
I will see them in Ypsilanti in a month.
That's where I'm going to, buddy. Oh my God! Okay. Oh, I didn't know you were doing that. Okay. All right. Oh,
there we go.
This will be
sweet.
We'll get some live video for you. All right. Check those guys are all. Why do we talk about them? Because they're in our Patreon crew, right? There's a whole bunch of folks in there. It's a really, really great group of people. We have a Slack chat specifically for the Patreon people, and I'll say it's a low bar. It might be a low bar, but we set it quite high. If you were to hang out, it's the most intelligent Lions chat on the internet, and no one's ever said no to that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think even we have. But anyway, so yeah, check it out. You can do that. As little as $1 a month donation via Patreon gets you in the Slack, gets you some discounts, pre-info. It's a pretty good deal. It's a great group of people. And you can, we have the game chats going on, in-game, post-game, the whole thing. Great place to be. All you got to do is as little as $1 a month for the donation. Patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. All right. Check us out on Facebook, Facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast, and on the Insta. We're almost to 100 followers, Riz, without a single post. I want to see how high we get. I'm really formulating a good plan. I almost broke the don't post rule in this officials thing, but we'll wait. Hey, let's pump it up. Let's see how high we can get. We'll see what we can do there. All right. So we got good stuff there. Also, check us out on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast. DET Lions Podcast, the very best place to see the Riz
with no pants.
That's right. Pants-free podcasting, baby. Subscribe on YouTube. YouTube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. You see the great Blandino video we shot this year. A bunch of other great stuff rolls out. Yeah. YouTube.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. Subscribe and you get this stuff when we go live right away. Of course, rate us, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. Those 5-star ratings are forever, and we love it when you share those. And if you have some, constructive criticism or whatever on the show, we're happy to take that in the subreddit. We talk about anything. It doesn't bother us. All right, that's it. Let's get into this thing. It's a big week.
Tighten your chin straps, kids. It's time to review this week in Reddit.
I love that bumper. I really, really love that bumper a lot. All right, let's get into it. First off, I know everybody wants to talk about this game, and we're gonna have plenty of time to do it. Again, we'll take your calls, but there's one little piece of housekeeping we gotta do. We've got a player who is on IR, likely to return. Can we talk about this, Riz? We almost didn't do the show today. We almost had to put you on the sideline.
Yeah, so I partially tore my right Achilles tendon yesterday playing basketball. I made the shot, by the way, made the game-winning shot after I heard it. But I am loaded up. I got a shot of Toradol in my ass this afternoon. It's feeling pretty good.
Wait, Toradol in your ass?
Yeah, I know, right?
Sorry. That struck me as
So I'm laid up. I should give a little video shot here. This is my right foot right now,
buddy. Oh,
I get an MRI in the morning to officially confirm it, but the doctor who did the X-rays and examination today said I can still feel it attached at the bottom, but it's not in good shape. So. Yeah, so that's fun. And between that and there's also something going on. And if you see me looking at my phone, this is why I'm doing it. As you know, I also do cover the Browns. The Browns are about to trade for Trent Williams from the Redskins. That is being discussed in a number of different threads I'm in as we speak. So that could happen tonight too.
Can you talk about one of the guys that was talked about in the compensation? Can you or no? I mean,
one of the guys that's mentioned it is Greg Robinson to go back to Washington, and apparently the Redskins actually are like, we really want G-Rob. So that tells you what kind of organization the Redskins are. We'll see if that happens tonight. I'm hearing it from both sides that it's fairly close and that they've discussed it. One of the big names in it is David Njoku. I'm interested to see which person really knows what they're talking about, because one person insists that he is in it and another insists that he is not. So if it even happens, we'll see. It's fun. So if you see me looking at my phone and being preoccupied, aside from the fact that I got a shot today and I'm not feeling very good and I got about 2 hours of sleep last night, I am a little sidetracked on the side job too.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Right. Yep. No, and so just one thing, I'm drinking these White Claws. You'll see these coming in my. It's Wisco Boiler. He's a Wisconsin Lions fan. The Slack. He's the one that recommended him. I'm just getting rid of him now. I got something real coming up afterwards to numb the pain. So we'll go through it. All right, let's talk about this game.
Do we have to? Yeah, we do. That's why we're here.
Did you see the article in the Ringer today? By the chance, a close examination.
I did not. I haven't read it yet. I've been aware of its presence, but I have not looked at it yet.
It's great. I love the Ringer. I really love the Ringer. What they do,
I do too.
Really, really good content over there. And they go through the place, right? And they have the was it justifiable as one of the questions that it asks before they do the explanation. And the first one was the bad omen, right? Turnover on downs. No, touchdown. Actually, wait, yes, touchdown. And basically how it impacted the game, it established a tone of incompetence. And I think that's it. That's
a very good line.
What happened and what we got out of this game from the officials. It was incompetence. It was. And I want to talk to people here a little bit, because I know there's a couple Packers folks who are watching. There's people from RNFL. There's a Patriots guy who's going to listen, Minnesota fella. A bunch of people from all over that were coming in that were like, wow, this is crap. All of RNFL is coated with, this is BS. The officials are garbage, right? If you go to see the Packers, what they say is, oh, yeah, the Packers always get the benefit of the call. They have the same meme. It's run it a bunch of times, and it's where the Packers got bad calls. Now, if you go back to those days those calls happened, in their subreddit, you would see the flow of tears. I remember the backup refs, the replacement refs, and the Golden Tate catch, right? And the tears that flowed for so long. Oh, boo. Let me tell you something. This isn't a comparison thing that the Lions get it worse or anything, but you're a fool if you make that kind of comparison. Because if you look around at the NFL right now, it is absolutely fucked up. It is a piece of shit, and it's because of the officials. You're getting fucked. We're getting fucked. The Saints missed a shot at a freaking Super Bowl over crap officiating? Are you freaking kidding me? And you want to sit there and do a meme. Well, no, who's officiating's worse? Fuck you. Let's talk about fixing the game, okay? Take the fucking sausage out of your throat, and let's talk about fixing the game. I had to throw that in there because I am a little hot about the game. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so now the reality of this game.
Tell us how you really feel, Chris.
The reality is the NFL has serious problems. The first thing I want to do is Pat McAfee had a really good thing that he did about the officials, and I want to do that, and I want to do Orlovsky. I want to set those up as what we're talking about going forward.
Dano went off a little bit too.
Yeah. All right, so let's start out. Let's get Pat McAfee here.
You look back a few years to the replacement refs when there was a lot going on. Everybody was like, this can't be the norm. We have to get this fixed. This year, it feels like we just have a bunch of replacement refs. Somehow, it has gotten worse than it's ever been. And I like to find the root of these things.
Yeah.
I'm a deep digger, a person that likes to find out why things are happening. And for me, I think it all starts with Alberto Riveron being an incredibly terrible leader of men.
Yes.
That's what he is. His official crew underneath him has been nothing but terrible. And I would say as soon as TV networks like this one start plucking John Perry, incredible referee.
Yep.
Start plucking Gene Steratore to CBS, incredible referee. Dean Blandino, many wouldn't say incredible, but he's a lot better than what Alberto Riveron's doing. Pereira, you name it. These TV networks are just plucking all of the great refs, and we're stuck with crap. We're stuck with junk, and that's why every time a call goes to review, everybody knows Alberto Riveron's going to get it wrong, because Alberto Riveron wasn't a good ref on the field. Now they put him in charge, and boom, ipso facto, now we got a terrible guy leading the thing. I don't think it's going to get better before it gets even worse, and somehow it's ruining the game. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, remember a couple years ago, there was the conversation that football was going to die because of head injuries? It's not. The issue with football's future is officiating. That's the only thing that could be potentially kill football.
Smell the roses instead of pissing in the garden all the time.
All right, so this is where you...
Hey, I know that guy.
Great rant. And we ran. I left Dan in at the end there because I think his point was extremely relevant. You there? Can you hear me? Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
Yes.
No, I thought he had an incredibly relevant point at the end.
I was happy with it.
Yeah. And then McAfee, he seemed to be passionate. He usually
he's the guy who will. It's no wonder he was popular in the locker room. He's right though about. And the sad thing is that Cleet Blakeman is not one of the new officials.
No.
He's one of the more respected older ones. And the umpire in question is the guy who threw the flags. His name is Jeff Rice. He's not a new guy either.
I have his phone number if you're looking for it. I'm not even kidding.
I'd
Somebody
rather not have that information. Thank you very much.
People got real mad on Twitter today. Real mad.
Yeah. A lot of people sent some interesting things, and it was frustrating. And I do want to talk about some of the X's and O's of the game as well, because as I wrote this morning, missed opportunities early or blown calls early, or blown opportunities early and blown calls late both sunk the Lions, and both are true. Yeah. Both can be mutually exclusive and still happen. The Lions could have played better, and they still lost because of the officials.
But if they lose, they lose. They lose, and it hurts, and it
right.
sucks, and it's like, God damn it. But when you have a third party come in and just, let's be honest, okay? I don't think the game is fixed, okay? I'm just going to put that straight up in the beginning. I don't think the game is fixed. I've wrestled with it a lot, but I don't think it is. Never, apply to malice what could be done strictly with incompetence. I really believe that this is pure incompetence. But this is the exact kind of thing that gives people the fear that this game is rigged. When you have two calls of the exact same kind of call, and we're gonna go through these. I'm gonna have pictures when we go through this with Blandino tomorrow. Each of these plays.
Good.
I'm gonna cycle back to the face to the hands call against Chicago. I'll say, oh no, sorry, wrong game. But it's the same thing. It's this illegal hands to the face garbage that they can't even call on the right player, right? This is ridiculous. This is an obvious penalty, an easy penalty to call and see, and they really, really fucked it up.
The hard part of it is that the rule is designed where you can, in fact, graze the helmet or graze the face mask, graze the side of the neck, as long as you don't make deliberate force with it and you slip it away right away. If you do this, that's bad. If you kind of do that, you're okay.
Did before.
Right.
Flowers got the call, right? Where he had his
right,
hands up
exactly.
in the face. That would be an illegal hands to the face on that call
Correct.
that went against Flowers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it would. And that's the frustrating part. As far as being fixed, I don't think that the game itself is fixed, but it's very easy to see how one official could take some money, and this is the Tim Donaghy example from the NBA. This is the example from college basketball back in the 1950s, where one crooked ref can have money on a game or get leaned on to make a certain outcome happen. And you've seen how that can happen with one umpire last night The rest of the crew wasn't great either. That's for damn sure.
They established incompetence early.
Yes, they did. They the veil of incompetence, it shields what's really going on there. I'm not accusing him of that, but I'm saying it's very plausible that happened. Just as it's very plausible that I'll go back to the NBA because I watched a lot of that. The only time before last night I'd ever thought a game was actually fixed in an outcome was when the Lakers came back and beat the Chris Webber Kings back in, was that 99 or 2000 in the Western Conference Finals. There's no way that game, if it's played even without officials, comes with that outcome. They had to have the officials complicit to make that outcome happen. I agree that happened last night, and I've never seen that in a football game. Not even last year when the Cleveland Browns and Hugh Jackson actually got fired for this game, in part when Carlos Hyde ran for a first down. They spotted the ball, were ready to go, and Al Riveron buzzes down, stops the play, makes them review it. The review shows that they actually shorted him on the spot, and they moved the ball back 1.5 yards the other way. They didn't get the first down. Oakland got the ball, got the win out of that. They did that so John Gruden wouldn't be winless. I 100% believe that. And this was as bad as that last night.
Yep.
Oh my God, the Packers, the Lions are going to be in first place. The Packers are going to be in last. Come on, we can't have that.
Man, we might not.
You can absolutely. Do I think that's what happened? Probably not, but I can't say that it didn't.
Yeah.
And that in and of itself is a big problem.
So Joe B, he said start following Larry Johnson, the ex-Chiefs running back. He's been talking about this on Twitter for a long time. I haven't seen it, so I can't say either way.
So he's a special kind of crazy, but sometimes crazy, just because you're crazy doesn't mean you're wrong.
Right. Can you give me the 10-cent tour of that kind of crazy?
What was he was talking, his Twitter timeline is sort of like Ancient Aliens dude, like pontificating on like European politics.
Sure.
It's just like
why is this not in my life? How do I not know about this?
It was ordained that the comedian would win the Ukrainian presidency because the aliens, turned left instead of going right when they got to Istanbul in 1498 or something like that.
Wow.
That's what his timeline is like. He's way the hell out there. Super conspiracy theories. If anybody were to have stormed Area 51 and had success, it probably would have been Larry Johnson.
Well, he did have good speed in his day and power. So here we got Bryce Olson also saying, did you see Bakhtiari admitting that he complained to the ref about Trey? So if you think about that now, okay, so I can get it. But when we look at it, it wasn't a penalty either time. So a player actually not only influenced it, and this you guys who know the podcast have heard me complain of this, when an official invents something, he sees something that's not there. That's when I get mad at the officials. You're supposed to call what you see, and you created something out of whole cloth twice because somebody told, maybe because somebody told you, right? It's just a piece of evidence. It's a hypothesis at this point, but that is real garbage time, man. That is weak officiating. And so we've talked with Dean a lot, and we'll talk about it again tomorrow. The process, every single play that these guys call, these refs call, they review every week. These guys are under immense scrutiny. I'm telling you, if you want me to believe that that's the case, somebody's getting fired this week. And as a human being, I hate to see somebody get fired. I hate that. But that was not only utter incompetence. I'm going to go back to the working world. If you work in a compliance, like a regulatory compliance area, you not only have to avoid being, like example, avoid bribing people, avoid it, right? But you also have to avoid being put in a position where it could appear as though you bribed someone. You don't even have to.
The appearance of
someone,
impropriety
right?
is often impropriety interpreted.
And that's all you need, and you're gone. Why is it not true in the NFL? And I know the answer to this. It's a rhetorical question, but I'm going to ask you, Riz. You tell me why.
I'll give you one good reason why. Is because there's nobody that they can replace them with.
Bingo. Now, in the real world, if you're thought to maybe have bribed somebody, you're freaking gone, and we will replace you. Why? Because we have succession planning. We have all kinds of things that we put in place for just such an emergency, as Foghorn Leghorn used to say. Now, what the fuck is going on? Why haven't we done this in all these years with all these failures? And Alberto, with his bullshit on this PI. Nobody's going for the PI challenge anymore because they're not flipping them because it's bullshit fucking rule that he's fucking.
And you know what? everybody went off on Patricia not challenging that last night. I would have been upset if he did because it would have burned a timeout. They would not have reversed that.
Right. And that's the fucking problem, because you can look at it and you can see
They created that rule.
Yep.
They created that rule specifically because of what happened to the New Orleans Saints last year when my guy Tommy Lee Lewis got clocked before the ball got there. And in theory, it's a good rule. And when the officials came to Lions camp this summer and explained it, they showed that play. They showed a couple of other plays, one of them involving the Lions on defense, believe it or not, where there was defensive pass interference that was not called. It would have been upheld over challenge.
Yep.
The problem is you show them that now, they are so fearful to overturn that because, why we can't. My take on this is that they feel that if they reverse the call, that the people who throw the flags, and those are not the guys who do the reviewing. These, your field judge, your side judge, your back judge, those guys are going to be less sharp. They're going to be less sure of what they're doing because they keep getting proven wrong, that they don't see things, that they're, these guys are human. There is a human element to it. And you can't take that out of football for whatever it is.
Yeah.
But when the human element there is overcoming the human element of the players who are playing on the field and deciding their games and getting people fired, and straight talk here, if the Lions finish in last place, Bob Quinn could get fired. Matt Patricia could get fired. There's a lot of players on this team who won't be back because of that.
You have a team
because of that one game last night. Because last night, if they win, they are 3-1-1 in first place in the NFC North. Now they're in last place because of those 4, 5, 6 calls all down the stretch, all that helped decide that football game.
Yep. And you're establishing a culture in a team, and you continue to undermine the ability to do that by fucking a team over like that. I want to play one more thing, because this is Orlovsky's take from this morning, because this is
he was on fire, man.
And I talked to him, guys. He's got some family commitments this week, so he can't join us. We're going to see what we can do about getting him on here again soon. But he was fiery. Let's go into Orlovsky and hear what he has to say. And he starts out by talking to
owners. I'm talking to you. You don't have a problem. You have an epidemic. Your product is slowly being ruined by a third party that has no consequence to their actions. And you may not pay a lot of attention to social media, but you should, because not thousands of people, not tens of thousands of people, but millions of people are unhappy right now. And unhappy people don't spend money. America's favorite sport at times is becoming unwatchable because of bad officiating. Absolutely. And it's not an October 2020 fix. It's not a 2020 fix. It's an October 15th, 2019 morning fix.
Right now.
Your product is being ruined. You need to fix this now. That's the reality of this situation. We can no longer come on shows after a really good football game and have to talk about the bad officiating. The Detroit Lions fans and team should not have to go, oh, we should have played better. When we grew up, it wasn't about, we used to always have coaches tell us, don't let the officials, they don't impact the football game. They're impacting too many football games. And I'm telling you, fans are sick of it.
What is the answer is the question.
Every time a flag is thrown, there's somebody up in a booth. It's almost like college football. You either confirm or overturn that flag. That's how college football handles targeting. If they throw that flag for Trey Flowers last night, hands to the face, someone in the booth immediately can go, I can confirm that or overturn that right now. It's timeless. You don't have to waste time on it. But we can't consistently go, hey guys, we're sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah. Dan, I love you, man. I absolutely love you. He was absolutely 100% on it. And the eye in the sky, all the most of the, I don't know, I want to say all, but the vast majority of the coaches were for that, and the league shat on it. I want to say
the
one more thing.
AAF had it.
Yep. Peter Von Panda says reviewing plays is to get them right. If you're only selectively reviewing and correcting them, getting it right isn't your real priority. It's to get the outcome you want. And that's the difference. The eye in the sky. That's what could fix it. Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Okay, so the side issue of that is that your game is going to take a lot longer. They're going to have these reviews. They need to speed up the process. They need to take the officials on the field out of the review process entirely, have the decisions made away from them and beamed to them and say, this is what you're doing. Don't have Clete Blakeman go hide in a hood. I'll go back to the Browns game that was on Sunday, where they called a blindside block on Jarvis Landry that was a textbook definition of what that is not. And that was the worst. That was the worst call I've ever seen.
The worst call of the week for sure. And
it
when we saw the
was.
shit show that was the Packers-Lions game, that was fucking worse than all of it.
So Jarvis Landry had another opportunity to make the same block later in the game and didn't do it and hurt himself trying to avoid it, to avoid that dumbass penalty. Yeah. Star players getting hurt because of the official incompetence, that can't happen. So you've got to take it out of them. It's sort of, I think I don't actually watch baseball anymore, so I can't, don't hold me to this. It seems like when baseball does the reviews, the umpires that are on the field have nothing to do with it, whether the call was out or safe, or if it was a home run or a ground rule double. It's told to them, and then they just communicate it to everybody. That's what needs to happen in the NFL as well. Yeah. You could have that could be part of Dean's job. That could be part of
hire Blandino.
Of Perry's job. You know, they watch one. Honestly, they should have probably one for every game, because you're going to have some question on every play, and it's not about holding penalties. It's about if there's a flag, let's make sure that flag was thrown.
Every flag is reviewed in the sky, because this clock stops anyway. There's no quick snaps. You're not interrupting the flow of the game or delaying the game. You can do that very quickly.
The illegal contact call that was made when Jimmy Graham slipped and fell down and Tracy Walker was in his nearby presence and therefore got flagged for it. That's a very easy, quick fix. You can tell right away that was not a penalty. That takes 10 seconds. Yep. That one isn't tough at all. Nope. The hands to the face. All you have to do. And by the way, if you're grabbing the face mask and your knuckles hit the face, that's not a penalty. That's because the impetus of your action is down here. Yep. It's not up here. So it's not hard to see that. The pass interference call that was not called, and I forget the defensive back that it was, when Marvin was going down late and he clearly got hit across the body, actually got hit in the head before the ball got there. That's a very easy fix. And the fact that they're not reversing those calls, even though they have the capability to do it and a mandate to do it, that tells me that the officials that are on the field cannot be trusted to police themselves. Yeah. Nor should they be.
No. And here's the thing. They talk about, taking the game out of the officials' hands. They have proven themselves incompetent.
They need it.
They have proven that they don't have the ability to get it right on the fucking
field.
They
have so many damn things that they have to watch on every play, because they've expanded the rule book into all these little minutia things. Yep. I don't blame them for having overload on the field. They have to watch so many goddamn different issues on every play that they have to be aware of, because the rule book has gone from this to this.
Yep. And even the referees that are on the field today, put them as the eye in the sky. Let them maintain the control and the prestige that they have, because they've worked their way up to be the point that they rule on what's happening on the field. It's their ultimate decision. Okay, they're the eye in the sky. You have enough guys already. You're just changing the job, and you bring in another level of side judges, right, or whatever,
right.
And you move up that way. That's the way to freaking fix it. I'm going to talk about something else, okay? Because the NFL won't fix it. You know why? Because of what we're doing right now and what happened on Twitter today. Everybody's talking about it. And the revenue isn't going away. The revenue.
It has not impacted their bottom line yet. People are still buying tickets.
Here's how.
They're still buying jerseys. They're still supporting things.
Here's how. I got it, Riz. I do. I've got a plan. And I talked about it with our podcast lawyer today, our attorney, our counsel on retainer.
We have a lawyer.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Mona. She keeps us out of a lot of trouble, buddy. She is top shelf. So we worked through this a little bit, and I'm gonna so it's a little bit longer term. Arlovsky said it has to happen today. Man, owners meetings are today and tomorrow. Right now, I swear to God, I hope Martha Ford rented the best bull she could to drag her balls across the face about Alberto and Goodell, because somebody needs to be beaten in a corner and to a pulp over the crap officiating we've started. Let the Saints start working them over, and then let our guy finish them off, because that's what has to happen. Okay, so the fix. Okay, sorry. All right, so think about this. We'll take your calls in like 1 minute, guys. Let us get the fix out here. The CBA, it's coming out. We get this year and next year's football, right?
Correct.
If I'm a player, okay, and I complain, like Baker Mayfield did, about officiating, I get fined. I can't even complain about the officiating. In something so egregiously and hilariously stupid as last night's game, our team had to sit out there like a bunch of eunuchs because they could have gotten fined for a bunch of bullshit. I can get around it. We can't affect change because the NFL isn't seeing any change in the revenue. Why? Because people are still going to go. They got their ticket. I'm not going to go to the game because of this. I've already bought my ticket. I got $500 wrapped up in me and my wife going, whatever.
Right.
Oh, well, we'll do a blackout. That doesn't do anything. That just justifies. That's more press for them. They love it. They love that. That's more revenue.
Let's tune in and watch the blackout.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So how do you do it? Well, first off, you have to make it so that the players and coaches can talk about it. Players specifically. And how do you do that? You make it a CBA issue. Okay? The officiating, there's two pieces that this officiating is fucking up. Number one, player safety. Incompetent referees put player safety at risk. Okay? If they don't know what a hands to the face call is, obviously, when it happens and somebody really, really gets hurt, that puts player safety at risk. Also, you have players' rights, and that's part of what the CBA is all about, right? These guys, what's the average career span for a player? It's like 2 years?
2.3 years, I believe it is.
Yeah, something really
like
low.
that.
These guys have this much time, and to go out there and have an ignorant third party or a ridiculously stupid third party come out and change the outcome of games, it ruins, like you said, it gets coaches, it gets GMs, it gets players, it gets people fired. It truly affects what they've worked on their whole life, their ability to make a living. This third party, unaccountable third party. So what does the CBA want? They want to say in how the officiating happens. They want to say, to ensure player safety and players' rights, that this officiating is correct, it is done appropriately, and the other part about it is when they get a shitty game like last night, Matthew Stafford can come up and say, well, this is why we're talking about this in the CBA. Now it's a contract negotiation discussion. It's no longer a discussion bitching about the officials. We would never want a case where terrible calls such as phantom hands to the face calls could put somebody at risk or could cause the change of a game or cause the end of somebody's career based on their performance. It could affect their salary because maybe they have so many sacks and they can't get they get a sack nullified because of a bullshit call like that. We would never want to see that kind of terrible officiating. It gives them the opportunity. It gives them the opportunity to put this shit on blast and start holding the NFL and the officials accountable. And that's how you do it. And I say all the way, go to a strike, because when you have scab games, no one's fucking going to that shit. The players, you talk about a way to get the fans behind the players, and the players get an opportunity to bitch about the bullshit that's fucking up their careers. Light it up, baby. Light it up. That's how you get that shit to change. Not going to games or blackouts. That's not going to do it. You have to go after the money, and it's the CBA. Right. It's the only option.
Something came up to me as I'm pondering your plan here. Why in the world would anybody? It's already difficult to attract somebody into being an official. If all of what you said gets implemented, why in the hell would anybody do that job?
Because when you have the eye in the sky, right? That's not, you no longer put the officials on the field in quote unquote in harm's way. That's some guy behind a camera who's looking at these fields. And now if he gets it wrong, it's a whole different ball of wax, right? There's a whole, and this is something I can get on. I talked about before about officiating being like a underwriter laboratories, like a third party provides the officials to the NFL rather than being NFL employees. But, yeah, it provided by a third party with the eye in the sky, and that person is ultimately accountable, not the guys. The guys in the field are responsible for what they're responsible for, but you have somebody to make it right up in the field who is an indistinguishable third party that is not part of any of the organizations involved. That's really how it has to be.
Yeah, but then you can get to that guy too.
Of course you can. You can always get to anybody. I mean, you can get to the president, I hear. People talk about that kind of stuff. This is not a threat by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not.
Is just, I'm concerned with the security of important people in our world today.
Yes, I'm concerned. My wife is in Europe right now. I hope she can make it back okay. It's
Bryce
it's
says
very
$238,000 for half a year's work. That's why you do that job.
That's not bad money. So I look at this as somebody. I did officiate many years ago. It's been a long time. I officiated basketball until a few years ago. It is not a thankless job because there is some reward in doing it. You do get to be around the players. You do still get to be a part of the game even after you can't play anymore. It is good money. My son is 14. He just worked on the line crew this year. He made $80 every Saturday doing 3 Pee Wee games. That's great money when you're 14 years old.
Hell yeah.
And his job throughout high school and probably throughout college, he's going to officiate youth sports. He's already decided that. That's great. They'll make more money than I made, cleaning toilets at racks when I was in college, or schlepping away at a front desk. So there's got to be some incentive for that. But then for it to continue after that, there has to be something beyond just a good paycheck. Because right now I don't see anything other than that good paycheck as to why anybody would get into it.
It's like a journalist. You're not supposed to be the story. You're supposed to report the story. And
that's for sure.
And that's what
that's the number one rule that I live by as a journalist.
Right.
I hate being the story.
Officials are not supposed to be the story. Unfortunately, they're the story, and we have to remove that from the narrative. And how do you do that? You have to change things because they obviously can't do it. Now,
right. So one of the things you can do, you can make it so it's completely not. They are not NFL employees. They are outside contractors.
Yep.
Provided by one company. You have they can be their own. Yeah, exactly.
Vetting and statutory regulation. Because I'm telling you right now, okay, in hockey it scared the hell out of me when the first year Vegas team made it to the finals. I'm just telling you straight up, right? We're moving a team to Vegas in the NFL. We've already created this situation where the reffing is as garbage as what you see in the NFL, or as subjective as what you see in the NBA. Now you have something in Vegas. You've pre-created the conditions.
Well, I mean,
right?
you can legally sports gamble in New Jersey now, where the Jets and the Giants are based. You will be able to in Michigan before it's too long.
Yeah,
believe it or not, you will be able to in Ohio soon as well for the Browns and the Bengals. There's a casino that's within throwing distance of the where the Bengals play that will have a sports book in it.
You want to lose money in a casino? The only way to do it is to do a Lions themed casino in Detroit. All right. Hey, let's open up the phones really quick.
Yeah, please. Let's talk enough about the refs.
All right. 248-782.
Let's let other people talk about it. Give the numbers. Hit them with the numbers, Chris.
248-782-8384. Give us a ring, or if you're on the Skype, it's all one word. Detroit Lions Podcast. Detroit Lions Podcast. We'll take your calls now. Thank you guys for being patient. We had to get it out as much as you guys did. We'll take this call. Hey, caller, what's up? How many have you had so far?
None today.
Okay. How many did you have? Were you hurting this morning?
I wasn't actually. I couldn't watch the whole game. I only got to see the fourth quarter. So while it hurt, I'm glad I didn't have to sit through all of that to then be hurt even more.
It would, if you had seen the first quarter. It is absolutely the best of times and the worst of times. It was such a juxtaposition. The first play of the game, you've probably seen it in replay, was a wicked 40, 50, I don't even remember how long, flea flicker from carry on back to Stafford out to Galladay. I was like, holy, we were on fire.
Yeah.
We're on fire. Oh, man. All right, sorry,
I was following on my ESPN app. Saw, we're up 13-0 one point. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to get too excited because, this is the Packers, but this is a good start. And then come home excited I get to watch the game, and that hurt. No longer exciting.
Yeah, sorry. So you probably had the best worst experience of Lions fans, just so you know. But all right, so what'd you have? What'd you have for us today?
So I've got two things. The first one is, and we hear this all the time, and I've been seeing it all over the place. But the argument that you have to play well enough to not let the refs be part of the game or affect the game, and that the Lions did not do enough to win the game last night. And granted, is it of course better to score touchdowns than 5 field goals? Absolutely. But that argument is becoming the laziest argument in the world to me because all that does is excuse bad officiating.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions did enough to win that game. They sacked Aaron Rodgers on a 3rd and would have been long, and instead they get a new set of downs, and then he throws a touchdown. They stopped them for a field goal, a long field goal that Mason Crosby could have missed, and even if he didn't, they still have about 1:30 to try to march down the field. But instead, new set of downs, game over. And it's like, at what point is it enough? Like the Lions did all of that, and then they had 2 phantom calls that didn't happen, and it's just and the fact it keeps coming up again and again, and it's just like there is someone else. Like everyone talks about, let's march down the field and score a touchdown. Well, yeah, no shit. If every team could do that, we'd have super high scoring games, but we don't have that in the NFL.
Right.
A high scoring game is kind of like less. Exactly. Like Prater's, I actually called in. I wasn't sure I was going to be able to call in tonight. I even said, Prater's basically wasting a spot for us if field goals aren't worth it. Let's get rid of the kicker and we'll get someone else there as a backup, which obviously when he can get 54 yards, great advantage because, he's amazing. But it just doesn't make any sense that you can hold them to all this, but then it's always, they got to set it down. Just keep holding them. And Aaron Rodgers is a good quarterback. They did hold him. If you keep giving him downs, eventually he's going to make something happen. The Lions could do the same. If you keep giving them downs, they'll make something happen too.
Yeah, when you dig them out of a hole, and that I saw this, and I don't remember where, so I can't credit appropriately, but know that in my heart, I'm giving you much love right now. Somebody said that there's a problem with the way the automatic first down works on defensive penalties. That's like an offensive penalty gives you an automatic 4th down. I mean, that's the similarity there. And it's ridiculous. It's way too much of a turn to the game. That even when you make a bad call like they did, shouldn't have been an automatic first down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very punishing. And then the other thing I have just real quick, and you guys have kind of touched on it, and this is the biggest issue that I think the NFL has right now, is I don't think the games are rigged or fixed, but if an article came out tomorrow that said, oh, hey, we have a report that the refs have been fixing the game after the game last night, some of the other calls, would anyone be surprised, though? Like, could you say you would be shocked to hear a report like that? No. And I don't know that I would be. And that's a huge problem. Like, my fiance was watching with me last night, and I tried to get her into the game, but she looked at me and she goes, well, that's not fair. How do you watch this? And I don't have a good answer. I don't know why I watch it because it wasn't fair. Nothing about that felt fair.
That is such a great point. And that's something we've seen this as a national narrative today. It was a Monday night game. It was highlighted and so many people saw it. But the thing I saw today was more people ever say, I'm just not watching anymore. I can't watch this. This product isn't good. It isn't fun. And sure, okay, turn the Lions into another version of the Chargers that nobody watches or cares about. There you have a good team, right, that nobody watches or care about. That's a way to kill revenue. Start lopping off teams off the league.
Start playing in soccer stadiums.
yeah, exactly. Good points. I want to go back really quick. We had one between the numbers. Blackout Ford Field's a way for the fans to control the narrative. They could push for CBA, use it as a means to push for CBA negotiations. Get the players the power on this, because the players are as affected as the fans are by this kind of garbage officiating. And if the players can take this up and it becomes a negotiating point, the conversation shifts. It changes. Also, another one, Bigfoot Forest. This is really cool. I remember. What was this? Where this happened before? He says we should be able to hear the refs' conversations after they throw a flag. What was that? What sport was it where we could hear the refs talking and the officials talking? I don't remember. It was like 10 years ago, right? It was one of the.
Wasn't it hockey? I think it was the NHL. I think so.
Wow. Okay. Maybe so. I like that one. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. You can do that. I know nobody watches it. You can actually do that in FIVB volleyball. The refs are mic'd there.
No shit. All right, we got another caller. Hey, caller, how you doing? Have you started drinking yet?
I'm still driving home, man.
Oh, it's Brandon. I know
Brandon. Hey,
Brandon.
Hey, well, I tell you what, man. What was the biggest spread on the Lions game? Wasn't it -4?
I think it was. Yeah, I thought it was
4. It was between 3.5 and 4.5, depending on what book you were at.
So there you go. They beat the spread again. like they did against Kansas City. So
Woo-hoo.
I think well, a lot of people aren't going to look upon that as much of anything, but it just shows what kind of a tough team this team really is. Listen, they made mistakes just like in a Kansas City game. They'll get over it, but the difference is this defense keeps battling back and even battling back again, even though they made mistakes. And so what happens? They're right there at the very end, and instead of Kansas City burrowing in and getting the touchdown, the referees go ahead and take the game away from them. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. I mean, you can talk about the other calls, what ifs and everything, but when it comes right down to the last few plays of the game, they had a minute left, and if that call was not made, good chance they probably would have kicked the field goal, and Stafford would have had at least a minute to get the field goal range. And I don't remember. You guys remember it was the game against the Colts a few years ago in Indianapolis against Andrew Luck, and they scored, and they had 24 seconds left. Remember how that game wound up?
Wasn't that the first game of the season?
I think it was. Stafford threw two good passes. They got in the Raiders' range with 2 seconds left.
Yep.
Boom. With field goal.
Yep.
24 seconds, man. So you can't tell me that he didn't have enough time. He does. But everything about this game showed that it was even. Again, just like the Chiefs. The difference is instead of the Lions making one more mistake than they did, the referees did. And it still cost. So
that's very true.
I don't know. I tell you what, the Vikings are coming into a Lions death with a whole bunch of hungry Lions. I mean, if you saw Trey Flowers' video, you could just see he said, "Yeah, we're just going to work." He just had like fire in his eyes, like, "Don't you dare ask me again."
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And I'm going to tell you guys, as heart wrenching as this is to go from first to worst in the NFC North, you compare this team to where they were last year and how they play compared to last year. This team and the record. I don't want to say I don't care about the record. It doesn't matter. But the record's already better. But the reality of the situation is this team is a much, much better team than the last year's team was by any stretch. You see a great trajectory here. We talked about it. I talked about it would be 3 years after Quinn got his coach that we would start really consistently making those runs. And I stand behind that 100% because this team is got the right trajectory, is moving in the right direction. They have almost all the pieces, and they have a really, really smart approach to football. This will change. This will change.
You can see how the plan is coming together.
Yep.
Yeah, you can. I tell you what, one thing that I just want to add, about 6 months ago, I found a little cartoon icon that all the little kids know about called Bob the Builder. Put that on Twitter one time, got some nice likes, and somebody actually put Bob's face on it. And lo and behold, what does he do? Bob the Builder with a blue helmet and bringing all these guys in. I thought to myself, that's a whole lot better than a Pinto with the wheels falling off like last time.
Damn straight. I was.
So, let's get it, baby.
All
Let's
right,
get the
man.
Vikings and take them horns off. See you later, guys.
That would be nice,
brother. We'll talk to you.
Thanks, Brandon.
I love Brandon. He's so good.
He's good. One other thing about the ESPN, Booger McFarland had never been better than he was last night. He didn't.
I hated
he
and
didn't
loved him
care.
both, but I've never loved him before, so that's a good stop.
He didn't care that he was going off script last night.
Yep.
And I was proud of him because be honest, the ESPN crew and Scott Van Pelt afterwards, dude pulled no punches. He's like, I just watched the Lions get gang raped on national television.
Yeah.
And I know I have to try to defend it, and I'm not going to do it.
Yep.
Good on ESPN for not kowtowing to the man.
Yeah, absolutely. Carter, love Carter. He's been around a long time, Carter Bright. He says he's seen the Lions outplay and be prepared for their opponent in all 5 games this year. Never seen that before.
I think that's true.
100% right. Yeah, he's done great. All right, callers, keep it coming. 248-3. What is it?
I don't know it.
782-8384 248-782-8384. I gotta look that up every now and then. I don't call myself that much.
My pain meds are kicking in, so I don't even know what my phone number is.
We've got the most wonderful supporter of the podcast right here on the line right now, Peter Von Panda. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, guys, what's happening?
Peter Von Panda here. I guess you do a million reviews, bud. We love them. We talk about them. It's really, really cool stuff. Your sense of humor is great.
Yes.
Can you give us a review of the officiating in this game?
I checked it out, and I'm going to give it a thumbs down. There is zero value in it. Few products I hate as much as the so-called officiating last night. Listen, man, buckle your seatbelts. I got a rant for you. You were asking everyone how much they drink today. I haven't stopped, dude. I am livid, absolutely livid. And here I think is the problem, is that we have been so conditioned as Lions fans, because there is no way. I mean, you got to tell me if you felt this way. But when we open up a can of whoop ass at the beginning with that flea flicker and start marching down the field, and we are just dominating them at the beginning of the game in the first quarter there, every spidey sense of mine is going off on how are they going to let this game flip, because the whole time they're always talking about how great Aaron Rodgers is, and don't count him out, he always finds a way. And it's like always the line from the commentators is always about how awesome the other team is, no matter how bad of a beatdown we are giving them. So that kind of ridiculousness just kills me. And my more global point is, I think the problem here is that great years, good years, don't come around that often. There just aren't the same level of like dominance that there used to be with some of the previous teams, just reliably winning back-to-back Super Bowls or something like that. So when it comes together, you really got to capitalize on it. And that's even like when people were talking about the Jalen Ramsey acquisition, I was kind of torn, because I was like, things are looking okay for us. This might be the year to go all out and spend it all and go for the gold. And we have been so darn close, and I feel like if we don't let it happen, we don't make it happen, right? How many more years of a drought are we going to kind of wallow through, man? Because it can be such a big space in between it. So when they screw us, on a few calls, not even just one or two, it wasn't like I just was like, okay, well, you know what, they got away with one there. But it was just constant, and it was only at the point that mattered. They could rob us of the whole season here, where this might have been our year, and it might still be, but you know what? We are a breath away from being undefeated. Yeah. There it is.
Yeah. So a couple things. One, it was your panda sense, not your spidey sense, right? I just want to make sure we got that.
It's warm and fuzzy, and I like it on my skin, baby.
Oh man, that's hilarious. And then the other piece of that, and this came from Jiggly Scrub, I gotta give him credit. In the Rodgers face mask game, we were up 17-0 in that game too. And it wasn't just the face mask in that game that we talked about flipping it. This is a narrative. This is let me think about. And Peter, thank you so much, buddy. Peter Von Panda.
Yes, thank you, Peter.
YouTube.com/Peter Von Panda. Do not miss it. His content is spectacular. I'm going to drop you right now, Peter, and open the phones, because a bunch of people are trying to get through. Okay, bud?
Take care, brother.
Right,
keep on keeping on.
Thank you, bud. All right. You think about that, and how many times it's the same narrative. Tell me about. I want to think about right now. And I'm having a hard time with recalling it. The zero to hero teams. What teams in the last 10 years or 15 years in our lifetimes have jumped from that place where they've got no wins, or they're the Lions or the Browns level terrible, right? And then they've jumped up and made it to a Super Bowl. And who are they? And we'll take you in one second, caller. We got you, caller.
I got two of them for you. The Greatest Show on Turf Rams and the Kurt Warner Cardinals.
There you go. You're right. Now, what we have to figure out is what the shift was there. What caused that? Because we're not getting it, and the Browns aren't getting it. And there's something that changed the narrative within the league for those teams. All right. Hey, caller, how you doing? Have you been drinking yet tonight, or have you stopped since last night?
Are you talking to me?
That's you, brother.
Yeah, no, I'm on my way home. Listen to you guys as usual.
Oh, okay.
Hey,
cool.
Nice.
I just say Dan hit it. Orlowski hit it on the nose, man. I'm done spending money on the NFL. I am done. I paid for NFL tickets and the Game Pass. I'm just done. And until I can watch a product where the refs aren't screwing over every team I watch. My stepson's a Cleveland Browns fan, so I watch their games too. I'm just done. I'm not spending any money on them. I'm not going to games. I'm done. I don't get it. I don't know. That's all I want to say. I appreciate it.
No, dude, you've nailed it, and I want you to stick around here because you're representative of something that I've seen a lot of people say, today and since what happened. And I think this is, again, there's an outcry here that's so different than what I've seen before. It's not just like the Lions fans and then, fuck you Lions fans, mine salt. This is national. This is people across the nation are talking about this. This is something that means a lot to a lot of people because it's affected a lot of people. Again, the Saints kept out of the Super Bowl possibly by a call. Continuous bad calls across the board. The Dallas and game, I don't remember, last week. Just absolute trash. The game has been ruined. And you mentioned Game Pass. That's a really, really great example because it's a yearly up, right? You pay for it. I think it's like August 1st.
Exactly,
they get you.
Yeah. If it was a monthly thing, it'd be canceled today.
Exactly.
I mean, it's $100. Boom. That's every year, $100 for them. They ain't getting it again. I tell you that right now. It's not happening. I'm just not doing it.
This is the scam. This is the scam of the NFL, right? The Sunday ticket's another one. I just hit you every year. And I'll give you even payments as the season goes on. Right now, people are halfway through the DirecTV payments, and they're ready to cancel Sunday ticket, but they can't. They're stuck with it, right?
Nope.
And by next year, how angry are you still? And that's the thing that people, that's why I think the CBA thing is important. The blackout at Ford Field, I understand that. That's important. That's why harnessing this, and I think the CBA thing is even bigger because it's more than just Lions fans. It's so many teams that have been screwed and how this game has been wrecked. And the control has been taken away from us. It really has. For you to say on August 1st.
The only control we have is the only control we have is not buying tickets to the game.
Right.
I mean, that's it. I mean, until we start doing that,
you can skip Game Pass.
Yeah, well,
but on August 1st, you're at your height, your peak hype. You're the abused spouse. You've spent a week in the shelter. You're ready to come back. You're like, well, they look nice. It's good. They're doing all the right things. It's $99. I'll put it down, and you do it, and then here we are, right? It's just October, and here we are. This is the scam the NFL. I'm going to say something here. Screw the NFL ticket. Find a way to stream the games. NFL streams, that subreddit is gone. Don't give them your money. Just don't give them your money. There's some great Alibaba jerseys. If you want a jersey, go to Alibaba. Don't give them your money. Unless you go to Fanatics.
Do I not spend the money on the games to take the boy?
No. See that? I slipped that stupid shit in there. No, don't go to fanatics.detroitlionspodcast.com. That's a terrible place to go. I will tell you where to go. You go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com/shop, and you can get a great Detroit Lions podcast shirt because none of that money will go to Goodell and his clown shit. But no, seriously, the silly ad kind of crap aside, you gotta take the money out of their pockets. It's the only way to affect it. And even not buying tickets, not buying the Game Pass, it's such a lag, a follow-on effect that they're not going to be able to equate that to what's going on. It really, really has to be an issue for the players. And this is something that can unite players and fans against the money very, very quickly by making it a CBA issue. And if it's a CBA issue and you get the players and fans united against the money, because a lot of that negotiation, I'll tell you what, is held in public. They release certain things. They don't talk about the negotiations, but they let certain things out to sway public opinion. Just like they, during the games, they rock. Oh, Dish Network didn't renew Fox. Oh my gosh, call Dish and tell them to put Fox back on. Right? That's their contract negotiation ploy. They're trying to get people involved. But that's the reality of what the CBA is. That's the thing. We gotta get people to go at the CBA and get the players to get involved with that. It's the only avenue. It's the only way to truly attack that money in a way and hold it hostage and scare them into making a change. One quick thing. Chris says, as news writers, you would think that they would start asking fans to boycott the products and the commercials. There's no way that's happening. The barrier between the news and the ads left in about 1993, maybe 1995, maybe 2000.
If we all stop watching the games, there's no ad revenue.
Yeah. Stop watching the games will do it. They'll put the numbers down.
The problem is
ratings
right
are
now
crashing.
the numbers are actually up.
They're not going to get the money for it.
Yep. The problem is they got the money. They already got that stupid.
They sold all their ads this year.
Yeah.
That's, and by the way, viewership is up. It's at record highs. The top 26 television shows this year are NFL broadcasts.
That's crazy.
There will be more people watching the Thursday night crap game, I don't even know what it is this week, than watch every single game in the World Series combined. That's how big football is. So, yeah, it's nice in theory to say that you're not going to watch, but the plain truth is that people are still watching, and it would take a tsunami of people to be repelled to do that.
And
we just feel it.
The fact that it's distributed amongst teams. Hey, caller, I'm gonna let you go, bro. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
man.
I appreciate it, guys.
Good thread going here.
Yep.
The reality is they got the money already. They already have it. You can't get involved. I lost my point. God damn it. They're not going to feel it. They're not going to feel it by you buying jerseys. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Because this week it's Lions fans that are pissed. But you know who's buying all kinds of jerseys? Green Bay fans, Packers fans. It's the same reason as we started this show when we talked about they got the meme saying, "Oh, Detroit Lions fans are crying because the calls always go against them," and they show the bad calls that they've gotten along the way, whatever. They're enabling the situation. They're perpetuating the problem. They're spending money on that shit right now in a way that they shouldn't. And as long as you have that flip side going back and forth, people forget. With Lions fans, after the 34-0 trouncing of the Packers last year, they forgot how bad it was. So I don't know. Hey, caller, how you doing?
I did.
Good. How you doing?
I'm okay for such a frustrating loss. I think I'm actually feeling a little therapy going here. A little bit of
catharsis, baby.
Yeah. What do you got for us, man?
Hey, Chris. First off, your volume is not as high as Jeff's. I don't know why. It happens quite a bit. But I caught this through the middle of what you guys been discussing. But this whole thing of boycotts and people not watching, I hear people at work talking about they're not going to watch football anymore and they're going to boycott and not go to the games. That's not going to happen.
You're right.
I hear it every year, and it's not going to happen. But what do you guys think is the solution to this whole fiasco, man? I mean, it's happened to us every year. And you know what? We may seem like think that we're the only ones that it happens to. It's not. You guys mentioned a few teams that it's already happened to. But when it happens to you, if you feel like we're the only team in the world that it's happening to. So what's the solution? I heard Peter King and others mention some sort of what do you call it? A sky official?
Eye in the sky.
Each game, right. Each team would have, or each game would have an official that would watch over these kinds of calls, these crucial calls. But why can't we have the ability to, at least in crucial situations, to throw the flag on any call you want? I think, who's the Peyton? Coach Peyton, New Orleans, asked for that.
Yeah.
Just being able to challenge any call that you want, and you'd have the same amount of challenges. What's wrong with that? I mean, there's got to be solutions out there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I see what's going on here with my voice. I'll get to that in a second. The problem with that is that you stop the game. You grind it to a halt. If you could challenge any play that you wanted, you could have a tired defense and say, "Oh, throw the flag. Hold on, slow it up. Get your defense some rest. Get them rested up to face the team on the next play." That's the big problem with being able to do a flag.
No, but you would still limit it. You would still limit it to a certain number of challenges, the same amount of challenges you have currently. It's not like you're going to have an unlimited amount of challenges. You still have the amount that you currently have, and it would be when you want to. And you got to be frugal and you got to be wise when you use them. But can you imagine if Patricia had the ability to throw the flag on those two calls in particular, if not 4?
Yeah, no. Riz, go.
And part of the problem
I'd like to hear
here, yeah, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. The fact that the guys who are on the field are making decisions for their own ineptitude is part of the problem. Those calls need to come from outside the stadium, from outside evaluators, and they just tell the official on the field, this is what you're going to do. Regardless, don't throw them in the mud and be like, hey man, that was an awful call, we got to reverse it. Just be like, you need to go out there and explain that the call is being changed because evidence to the contrary of what we called on the field has been proven correct.
Yeah,
that's what needs to happen. It needs to come from outside. The eye in the sky is something that the AAF tried. They didn't have the greatest of production values, so they didn't have enough cameras, among other things. But it is something that you will probably see in the XFL, which drafted today, by the way.
Which couldn't have been better timing, right?
Yeah, the fact that a league sponsored by a fixed sports entertainment company drafted today, of all days, after what we saw last night, there's no irony there at all. No. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do about it in terms of the officiating. Stopping the game more often is not part of the solution, though, because that is going to impact people. As much as I love the Fansville ads, I don't need to see 30 of them in an hour. I don't need to see Limu Emu any freaking more in my life.
I'm going to hang myself. Hey, Colin, we're going to keep going. We got to cycle through a couple here.
Chris, one last thing,
sure,
please. Sorry about that. Can I ask you?
Go ahead.
Shoot it.
I'm sorry. Even if this would have happened on the first penalty call, the wrong penalty call on Flowers, had the official called down to those officials during a break and say, hey guys, that was a missed call. Next time that happens, keep an eye on it. You missed it. Then that second penalty would never have been called.
Right.
Even something like that.
Yeah, no,
but that
100%.
did not happen yesterday.
Yeah, no, that self-corrective or corrective behavior from an eye in the sky, actually not involved in every play, but maybe at every turnover, or because they have the bullshit TV breaks to hold up the game for no reason at all.
They can go to the sideline and huddle they can huddle as an officiating crew on the sideline, get in communication with New York, with Los Angeles, with Dean.
Exactly.
Dean would be great at this.
Exactly.
Tell him what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, Dean, who'll be on tomorrow, by the way. All right, hey buddy, we're getting tons of calls,
thanks,
and
guys.
thank you. I know Riz's Teradol is his ass up. How much you got left in you, buddy? I know you're kind of beat up with that Achilles.
I'm good for a little bit more. So I actually so I am not where my laptop is plugged in. I have about 45 minutes of battery life yet, and I cannot get to my charger.
We're not going that long. Can you do a quick shot of your foot again? We got a bunch of new people that have come in. They don't know about the injury report.
Yeah. So I hurt myself in basketball yesterday. Partially torn Achilles. That would be that's my foot.
1 second, caller. Oof.
Not good. It hurts a lot. Not fun. I also can't drink alcohol because I got a shot of some
Teradol in your ass.
Yeah.
You said that in the beginning. That was great. All right. Hey, we got a caller. Caller, how you doing? Tune in, caller. Hello.
Caller's busy. There's a lot going on there.
Okay. That caller had been drinking since last night. I am convinced 100%.
His cat might have been too.
Breaking news, Ramsey to the Rams. Ramsey to the Rams.
Is that happening?
Yes.
Okay. By the way, on the earlier one that I was talking about Trent Williams, I've been told by somebody that I trust in Washington that ain't happening. So.
No. Ooh. Hey, for callers, when you're going to call in, just so you know, we open the line really quick and finish what we're saying before we address you. So if you hear us talking, don't panic. Don't panic. All right. Same caller. He's back. How you doing, buddy?
All right.
Same caller. He's back. How you doing, buddy? Hey, I'm doing all right. What's up, guys?
Hey, can you turn down the volume a little bit in the background for us?
Oh, okay. My bad. I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's all good.
That's my son. My son in here playing.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
No, it's silly how all this stuff works, but I'm amazed that it does half the time. So, how you doing? What's your name, man?
My name is Maurice. This is my first time calling. I usually watch though.
Cool, thank you.
And I had to bear watching that at work with a bunch of coworkers. I worked actually at the Ford plant here in Kentucky.
Hey, good on you. Hey,
So,
I have a friend from high school who works there.
I can release some information because you guys do the Explorer down there. You still do that, right?
We do it depends on which plant because there's 2 plants here.
Yeah.
I work at the truck plant.
Yeah, okay.
Make it to the F-250s.
So way back in about 2000 and I'm gonna guess here, I gotta remember 2004. I was working in Dearborn at Ford, and I had to get a truck for something we were doing. It was a brand new model Explorer, and I actually had to fly down to Louisville in after work. I worked all day, so at 5 o'clock I drove to the airport, jumped in a plane, flew down there, jumped in a brand new car, literally rolled off the line. I hopped in it and drove it all the way back to Dearborn that night so we could use it the next day. It was crazy. I'll never forget that. So good to hear you, man.
They just jet those things in there now, but
it's a different world now.
After watching that game, it's, as a longtime fan, it's hard to have the faith.
Yeah.
It's hard to have the faith. It's not hard to root for the team, but the flags like that show that you're a good team, that you can hang around with teams like that, for them to pretty much dump on you the last 2 minutes of a game.
Yeah. No, and this is one of the things, and maybe it's stupid, but this for me is what makes this team so identifiable with Detroit. Kicked down, constantly working, swimming upstream, working hard, man. Again, everything's stacked against you, it seems like, and you keep going, you keep grinding. And I mean, you look at that. I mean, you look at a guy get drafted to the team this year, next year, first round. Hey, you're going to the Detroit Lions. You're Joey Harrington. You're going to the Detroit Lions. It's like, okay. I mean, you got to put that face on, right? But you've seen it. Every one of us have seen it our whole lives. What is it to be a player on the Detroit Lions, man? And you root for them, and because that's who we are. That's in America. We love the underdog. It's something about our national psyche. We love to root for an underdog. But man, you feel dumb after a while. And this is stupid that we have to feel dumb about a team like this and the same bullshit over and over. And I say it because this week, again, we were the victim, but we see it. You want the bye week, you watch any football, you see the officials failing. It's a league-wide phenomenon now. I can't this year say that it's targeting the Lions. I can't feel like that's happening anymore. It's like somebody wants to fail the NFL and make it go away. But as Lions fans, we see this and it's like, oh, you're new here, as the news hangs around our neck. This is dumb. It's hard, man. It's hard. What keeps you at it? What makes you come back week after week?
The players are actually good, but I just, you feel bad for Stafford because everybody's like, oh, he had his chance to win the big game. He can't win the big game. And it's just like, come on, man. We know you all love sucking on Aaron Rodgers, You guys love that.
They love
y'all didn't even give the guy a chance.
Yeah, no.
You kind of figured something was gonna go wrong when the Kerryon Johnson touchdown. You had one ref saying yes and one ref saying no. Like, oh, are we starting early? We starting early, ain't we? Yes. Usually they wait till the end of the year to fuck us over, but they started pretty early this year.
God, they put it balls deep right off the top. Actually, that was the scene where they're like it was like they opened the medicine cabinet and grabbed the jar of Vaseline, right? That's like if it's a movie, that's the foreshadowing of what's yet to come. It was horrible, man. God. It was horrible.
Oh God.
Yeah, no, you're right, dude, and you love the players. Matthew Stafford. I mean, I absolutely. The more I hear about him as a human being and what he does as a person and how he's lived his life, I can't. There's nobody I can say in the NFL that I'm more in love with as a person and the Detroit ethos. That is him. That is him.
There's a lot of really likable guys on this roster who have embraced being Detroit Lions. Not just that they're Lions, that they like it there. Marvin Jones loves it there. Quandre Diggs loves it in Detroit.
Yeah.
I talked to Darius Slade personally a week and a half ago. He was all about it. He loves it. He's going to stick around. I guarantee you he's going to stick around after he's gone because he likes it. And Ndamukong Suh, for all the foibles that he has, he still comes back.
Yeah.
There is something about guys who buy in like that. And there's a lot of them on this roster that are good guys who like being together. There's a very keen eye for who will fit together and what, personalities mesh with the coaching staff and with the players that are here. And I love that, because you don't see that all the time. I've covered other teams. When I lived in Indianapolis, the Colts had a lot of talent. They did not have chemistry. The Houston Texans had chemistry more than they had talent, and that's how they rose up. The Bengals, God forbid, they had a ton of talent. None of those guys ever talked to one another. These Lions, they hang out together. There's something to it, man. And I'm glad that fans like it and are appreciating it and are picking up on the fact that this is a good football team. It's a good group of guys, too.
It's a great city, man. It's a great city. When we did the video, and if you guys haven't seen it, it's on our YouTube channel. I'm not going to give you plugs and links and all that, but we came to Detroit and took Dean around and shot a pretty fun video around Detroit. It was just kind of like a redemption story for him. But as we were doing it throughout the day, and we met people, and his whole thing is he loves to talk to people. He wants to meet people. When we do the show tomorrow, every one of you call. I was angry that no one called and asked the party bus question. I asked it myself, right? Because everyone's a keyboard warrior, right? But
he would answer it too. He
absolutely
really would.
He would. He is the coolest dude, and he will stand up and say, "This is what it is." Right? And better, worse, otherwise, bad call, good call. He'll stand there and tell you what really happened, and he'll tell you the story. But we're walking around and doing all kinds of stuff around town. He's like, dude, this place is way better than anyone ever said it was. This is a really, really great city. And it's funny because it's our little secret. Right, it's Detroit people's secret, and I know in Louisville, you're like, but I'm a Lions fan, right? But
no,
you originally from Detroit? You spend time there?
No.
Wow. No. You wait, so you didn't come from Detroit?
It's kind of like I feel like it's kind of like a brotherhood, because we have a whole bunch of people from Michigan that come here, and it's just like, oh, you're from Michigan? Oh, you like the Lions? And that's how it kind of just like kicks off.
That's a great point. That is because it's a mindset. I've lived in California and lived in Florida. I've moved, grew up in Detroit. I've been in a lot of places. There's nobody like Detroit people. There's nobody like Detroit people anywhere.
I think it's like intertwined because of the work. Like there's a lot of factory work here. It's like I'm pretty sure there's a lot of factory work up there.
Yep.
So it's kind of like you kind of get a feel for people from Detroit. But I've like the Lions since I was like 12. I'm only like 28.
Damn.
To where I could comprehend football.
Damn. All right. Well, dude, you, I'm going to run because the people banging the phone lines, and Riz is about to pass out from his drug injection.
All right. Thank you.
If you see my guy R.H. Workman down there, he's a very good high school friend of mine who works down at the Ford plant down there at the truck plant in Louisville. So tell him I said hi.
What's his name?
R.H. Workman, Robert Workman.
Workman. Okay. I'll see if I run into it. If I can run into
him. Dude. He looks like he's just gotten done weightlifting all the time.
Awesome. All right. Hey, man, thanks a lot for calling. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All
Bye.
Right, man. Cool. All right. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna start closing out. I promised Riz we're gonna do an hour. We're already an hour and 17. I promised him that before he tore his Achilles, and we're doing this. So why don't we call it here? All right. Quick prediction against Minnesota, and we'll walk out. So I'd say I stretched it a little more.
Minnesota. You know what? The Vikings have looked good of late, but their ability to run and pass on offense is going to be a problem for Detroit. And our inability to run. And I'll give two quick X's and O's observations. Jared Davis was awful. Kerryon Johnson was awful last night. He ran into his own blockers way too often. The blocking needs to be better. He's got to be better too. They need to realize that he cannot run B-gap runs. He always gets stuff there. He either needs to go straight up the middle or off tackle. Running on either side of the guard, it ain't there. It ain't happening, not with this group. Not when you're rotating offensive linemen either. I'll get that out there as well.
You're making me mad now. You're making me mad because I agree with you 100% on Kerryon, but I want to explore the Jared Davis thing because I think he was playing a spy role a lot, and that affects how people are looking at him and grading him.
It doesn't affect his run fits, where he's diving into the wrong gap. He's not taking on the lead blocker so the safety behind him can make the play and replace him. He's not doing those things, not at all. And that's very frustrating, and that's hurting the defense.
Got a great prediction here. Jiggler Scrub says we'll either outplay him and win, or we'll outplay them, and the refs will hand the Vikings a victory. On that note, remember this show needs your involvement. We love all your comments in the subreddit. Help us out with that. Help us get better, thanks to you. Also, don't forget about us on Patreon, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast, patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. All those donations help us make this live stuff a reality. We just got a nice piece of equipment thanks to our Patreon people to help us on our, when I'm traveling and on the road broadcast. Next year, our party is going to be tits, Riz. You're gonna love how this thing works out. It's gonna be nice. Check us out on Facebook. Oh, that's patreon.com/Detroit Lions Podcast. I didn't know. As little as $1 a month gets you access to the Slack and all that. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Detroit Lions Podcast. On Instagram, brand new. We're not posting anything, not yet. You have to wait for that, but follow us now at Detroit Lions Podcast. Also follow us on Twitter at DET Lions Podcast. DET Lions Podcast. It's where the Riz is always hanging out.
With no pants.
Damn straight.
And no heel.
No heel. He's got the footy jammies on without one foot. Give us a call via Skype, Detroit Lions Podcast. All one word, Detroit Lions Podcast. Or call us on the Lions line at 929-33-LIONS, 929-335-4667. And be sure to go to DetroitLionsPodcast.com. Subscribe to us so we can come inside your little ear hole maker automatically. Thank you for tuning in. Remember, we'll see you next time on the Detroit Lions Podcast. No pants, no toasters, no hot tubs, baby. No problems, because we're on your Detroit. Because we're your Detroit Lions and Reddit connection. Woo! All right. Hey, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you.
The bullshit.
It's not. The refs are. You guys are awesome. We will talk to you soon. Dean, tomorrow, we'll take your calls. Riz, thanks a million. You didn't have to. You stepped up after being injured and did it. You're the bomb.
It's fun. I'm going to bed and going to die now.
Okay. See you everybody.